There are 5 profanities that are embedded in our communities and nations. There are 10 profanities that most of us see as entrenched problems. We cannot eliminate them because of the 5 systemic profanities. These systemic problems conspire to ensure the 10 profanities will continue to erode the church. The church is a righteous system. We are the church, but we are weak, and for a long time we have been growing weaker. The 10 profanities, or 10 great evils, are tools that serve to erode faith. Unemployment, debt, poverty, inflation, pollution, waste, taxation, homelessness, war, and crime all exist to challenge faith. No amount of prayer and charity will eliminate these profanities because we are focused on symptoms, not the cause. The cause of these profanities is a lack of faith. That is true, but it is a lack of faith in what Jesus has provided in the way of salvation, and in Him as the Master of our life. The church is the only solution because the church is the only path to perfection. It is not for nothing that the Bible tells us to be perfect as our Father in heaven is perfect. It is because to be perfect is to be the church. The call to be perfect is a call to be the church. This means a rejection of all that is profane. We know poverty is wrong and unnecessary, but we insist on tackling it as an isolated problem and something real, rather than a manifestation of the powers and principalities and the spiritual wickedness that exists in high places. We do not wish to tackle the real evil. We attack flesh and blood politicians without waging war against the forces these politicians represent. The 10 profanities, unemployment, debt, poverty, inflation, pollution, waste, taxation, homelessness, war, and crime, cannot be defeated directly as they are all secondary products of a profane system. It's a system composed of 5 elements of 5 interlocked technologies. These are, 1. The ethical system composed of the law and the jurisprudence system. 2. The political system, which is democracy and other forms of governance. 3. The property ownership system, including private and public ownership. 4. The monetary system, which includes both the banks and fiat systems. 5. The social system or social justice system, which includes identity politics. All of these 5 systems serve to generate power disparities or hierarchies. The purpose of all of these systems is to enable property ownership, which translates into power hierarchies which serve to enable a few to control man. And this power also enables the powerful to control property. Ultimately, all that matters is the property the powerful control. The elites wish to own the world. The enslavement of people is just a ploy to gain control of property. This is in itself evil, but it also enables us to divide the profane from the sacred. Profanity generates inequality, but inequality is not unnatural, and in some sense it is necessary. To take an extreme example, God and man are not equals. Man and animals are not equals. The citizen and the illegal alien are not equals. The criminal and the police are not equals, and the sacred and the profane are not equals. The profane are unbelievers and are alienated from God. But we do not think of the inequality that must exist between a criminal and his victim. Nor are we fully appreciative of the inequality that has to exist if the state is going to be able to function. Then there is the inequality the state must manufacture to maintain its legitimacy. There may be a lot of rhetoric directed against inequality, but it is the profane that keeps inequality alive. All of the profanity we are subject to exists as a consequence of the inequality generated by the state and the rest of the profane world. The 10 profanities are all expressions of and the result of inequality. There is no equality between worker and unemployed or between debtor and creditor, for example. The ethical system is composed of laws. Laws enshrine inequality. There is always a power imbalance between the lawmaker and the subject because the law must be enforced if it is to have relevance. Enforcing the law is not simply about keeping the peace or maintaining order. In fact, only those who break the law require the law. Those who go to work and buy what they need, have no need for the law. The lawmaker claims they are protecting the innocent, but the people could protect themselves were it not for the lawmaker, the state. The state cannot eliminate those who break the law because if they did, they would eliminate the only justification for their existence. By justifying the making and enforcement of law, the political system is created and justified. By validating the political system, the power imbalance between the ruler and the ruled is justified. Because the state as the political administration has decreed that only that which is legal exists, the lawmaker decides who is a citizen and who owns what. The state legitimizes ownership but also regulates it. We never truly own anything, we license its use. The state can and does tell us when and how we can use our property. The state even controls the economy indirectly through its control of the monetary system. We cannot buy or sell other than we use the official means of exchange. However, this money is inflationary and open to manipulation. As said, the state does not want order. The state needs controlled chaos. If there is no crime or conflict, it has no purpose. If we all worked and all paid for what we consumed, there would be no role for the state. The state is a scam. As is the case with every protection racket, the state creates a need for its services. There is no way to deal with the 10 profanities without the intervention of the state. But the 10 profanities only exist because of the state. The state is composed of the 5 systemic profanities. They could also be called the 5 inequalities. We are unequal before the law, or justice system. One must be rich to enjoy the full protection of the law. We are unequal politically, because only the rich have the ears and eyes of the political system. The state will always favor those who are more able and likely to benefit them. We are unequal in the market because property ownership is distributed unequally and property ownership is the basis of all other powers. One can think they have power, but it is the property owner that has the real leverage. We are unequal monetarily, because the rich always has an advantage over the poor. And we are unequal in terms of our identity. Many politicians have taken to giving certain identities a voice. This is because certain identities need the state more than those who work and pay their own way. Identity politics turns certain constituencies into victimized groups. These identity groups enable the state to act as a social justice warrior and legitimize their existence by claiming to fight for the rights of a group that has been identified as experiencing a disadvantage. The variety of reasons why a group of persons might be disadvantaged when compared to the average or to a group that does not have this debilitating element, is almost infinite. Shorter people, taller people, fatter people, poorer people, less educated people, and so on, will always fare worse than the average or in situations where a different quality is needed. Short people do not do as well as taller people as bouncers, and tall people do not do as well as short people in roofing. Different jobs require different skills and often, different body types and personalities. No one is the best person or even equally qualified to do every job. However, the 5 systematic profanities are not about the best person for the job. The 5 systematic profanities are not about discrimination. The legal, political, monetary, ownership and identitarian systems are designed to make room for parasites and invalidate the middle class. As odd as it might seem, there are only 2 options that face us as we mature. We can pay our own way or become a freeloader. But freeloading cannot work in a free society or free market. No one, and certainly no group, is going to subsidize a way of life that is harmful to the community. Food banks, though they make look perfectly sane in this profane system, as patently insane in any free society. Why would a free people subsidize freeloaders? It makes no sense. If 1,000 people were stranded in an isolated location, would a food bank be one of the first things set up? Would a bank, or monetary system be created where the currency had to be borrowed from a bank if you wanted to buy or sell? Some of the things these settlers would do would mimic what they know. At the same time, it would be difficult to get them to accept the realities of this profane system. There would likely be several rebellions and divisions created as those who wanted to freeload fought with those who wanted to remain free citizens. The bottom line is, we work to create value. No one works without some sense of what he or she wants in return. There is a possibility the average person will be conned at one time or the other. But it is impossible to believe that a person will work over a long period of time in a way that benefits someone else, without getting back something which they want or value more than the labor they expended, unless there is exploitation involved. This is the point about the 5 systemic profanities. They are all technologies for exploiting free persons. The state exploits free labor by bribing other parasites to support them. Parasites vote for the party that will benefit them the most. Unfortunately, these parasites have been managed to corrupt those who otherwise would be free people. Conservatives vote for the party that will exploit them the least. But they will not vote for a party that rejects all parasitic behavior, because such a party cannot exist. This is the trap we are in. We are given a political voice to achieve the ends we wish, but these ends are limited, reflecting the system we are in. We cannot elect a government that promises to do nothing because we have all been conditioned to think the state is needed. The state is required in a parasitic nation that lacks free thinkers. All public works are paid for by free persons and provided by free citizens. The state neither pays for anything nor does any of the work. A free people in a free market is more than able to provide all of the infrastructure it wants, without any intervention of the state. Market mechanisms do work, and the labor theory of value is sufficient, but not in a parasitic system, not with the 5 systematic profanities in operation. We need to eliminate all profanities to have a free society.